How's it going? Welcome back. We're gonna install a boost gauge today.
Hell yeah, brother. You guys got that 93. Monty won't run on that cheap shit. Got a whole gas cam. Alright, so as you can guess from the title, we got our boost gauge in. So AEM, we've already kind of torn the packaging apart, but should come with everything we need. A little wiring harness for it, some vacuum line, some crimps, the actual sensor itself, this little adapter T fitting thing, zip tie, and then if you're a psychopath, a white gauge face. Those things are ugly. I don't like white. The black looks way better.
This is silver. This isn't white.
That's white. Not that, you dingleberry.
Oh, the white face.
The face, yeah.
You're talking about the
No. So right away we found out something interesting. This fitting actually will screw right into the boost reference fitting on the turbo right here. So this will screw in there if we wanted to do that, but it would look ugly. It's ugly as sin, so we're not going to do that. But anyways, we're going to get right to installing it. We'll probably start off on the interior with routing this, sticking the gauge in the little pod, and then we'll start to figure out the wiring. But here's the little instruction sheet they give you. Warranty on the back. No one cares about that. But yeah.
Except for when you break something.
It's fine. There's a little wiring. It's got 4 wires. It's got white, blue, red, and black. Red and black being power and ground. White and blue being these two things. So whatever. We're not worried about that right now.
You ever taken one of these apart?
No, I haven't.
It's pretty interesting. So the whole face comes out. You got to pop that open, but
yeah,
it just sits in a track with a bunch of little indicator lights. That's pretty cool. Put that back now.
Did it go on straight?
Yeah, it fits into
yeah. Anyways, let's get started. All right, so this is our little gauge pod we have in the red Civic here. I used to have a boost gauge because it used to be supercharged, but I sold all that stuff, so we just have AFR now. Went ahead and unplugged it. It's just 2 little plugs. Kind of plug into them. It's the same for most AEM gauges, I'm pretty sure. This one has the same thing, except it's just one piece. But anyways, we're gonna start by putting the gauge in.
Don't let it fall out.
It won't. It's like it's in there. It's not even like, there we go. Now it's in there. But yeah, it's not going anywhere. Might turn it just a little bit. Anyways, step 1 complete. Super easy. Next is the hard part. We got to run this wiring behind the dash, down, and then into the engine bay. All right, we're sitting in the Civic. It's become a little too much of an annoyance to try to squeeze everything back there behind the where the speedometer is. So we're pulling out all the trim. So all this stuff, probably this top piece, and maybe even probably pull out the cluster too, because that's pretty easy. And then that should give us enough room to kind of snake stuff through. Man, I miss being in this car. So the old way that I'm pretty sure the boost gauge was routed, or the AFR gauge, it's still there. You see that black wire? It's kind of just goes through where the steering rag does, which is definitely not the right answer. While we're down here, we might go ahead and just clean up the rest of the wiring that previous owners have done. We'll see how it all goes. All right, wire's routed, comes up down through here, pops out right here along with the boost reference wire shit. Anyways, we're done up there now, so we're gonna throw the pod cluster back in, and then we'll make sure all the gauges are hooked up and all that good stuff. First, this one's gonna be a bitch. All right, well, that was a whole headache and a half. Turns out we're stupid. There was an easier way to do that, but air fuel's back in, plugged in. Boost is in, plugged in, and everything's kind of floating around down here. If you guys can see that, hopefully you can. So next, we are probably just gonna go ahead and take care of the wiring, and then the last thing we'll do, we'll mess with the vacuum line so we can get boost reference for the gauge. I mean, it's not hard per se, it's just kind of a headache, but. All right, so next thing, this is the boost reference like sensor. We're going to remote mount this because I don't really want to thread it into the turbo. I think that's pretty ugly. So it comes with this fitting for that reason. So I'm gonna just put some Teflon on the threads. I'm gonna crank this down, and then we will find somewhere to mount this once we can pull the plug from the cabin into the engine bay. And then we'll find somewhere, we'll probably zip tie this to something or put a clamp somewhere. Maybe like right there, I don't know. We'll figure it out. No, I can't use that bolt hole, but you know what I mean. We'll find somewhere to stick this that's out of the way and isn't too visible because it's pretty ugly. All right, I did the good old put this sucker in my mouth and blow on it leak test, and sucker's airtight, so it's good to go. Obviously it's not the ideal way. The ideal way is you'd want to put the sensor directly into probably like the intake manifold or the charge piping to get like the best possible boost reading, but the boost gauge is for my eyes to see, like in the car. It's not really for the ECU, so it's mostly just so I can kind of get an idea. I know it's not going to be exact, but I'm probably just going to tee this off into the brake booster vacuum line that comes over here to the intake manifold. So that's probably how we'll run it, and then I will try to get this as close as I can to the cabin, and then that way we'll make sure we don't run out of wire. All right, so I think I found where we're gonna drill our hole. Get this drill bit out of my way. So the steering column shaft comes out of here. On the cabin of the car, there's a big surface area where it kind of indents into the firewall. There's a lot of space. Let's see if I can get you guys down in there. There's a lot of space over here. Like probably down here is where we'll do it, where we can just drill kind of a decent sized hole. And then we can also, that'll allow us to move this black wire out of the way so it's not quite as janky as it is now, because I don't like how it comes around the sharp edge right here. I'll show you guys what it looks like once I drill it out. Okay, so this is where we drilled our hole at. This is where the steering shaft comes out of. So it comes straight through here. When I bought the car, there was already this black wire here, so we're gonna fix that right quick after I'm done filming this little piece. But yep, so the cable comes down here. Here's the boost plug. So this will be routed up that direction, and we'll do our best to avoid anything that gets hot. So yeah, not too bad. We do need to seal this hole, and then we'll either put silicone there, or we'll, for this thin of metal, we'll probably use like vacuum line, like that boost line that the kit came with, so we can like wrap around it after we either paint or silicone it, and then yeah. All right, solid 30 minutes later, I'm covered in fiberglass, but anyways, so this black wire is actually from, where'd it go? It's right here. This black. Ow. You okay?
Yeah, the
oh, whatever.
steering output shaft.
Anyways, this black wire, so when this car was supercharged, it had a water-cooled aftercooler setup. So it had like a little radiator that water flowed through. Down here was a marine pump that was mounted to the frame, and that is what pumped the water through. Well, this black wire is literally just power for that. So we obviously don't need that anymore, so we're just ripping it out now. So that actually saves us a little bit of hassle. So that means I can go underneath the car or in the cabin and cut it where it's wired into the fuse box, and then I can just put some heat shrink over it if I'm able to. Probably not. I'll probably just have to electrical tape it, and then I'll be able to get rid of all of it. So
How did we not see that before?
I don't know. We definitely should have pulled that out like a long time ago, but we never did. Okay, we got this all set up. Got the vacuum line on. This is what came with it. I put some dielectric grease on the fitting so that I could slip it on there easier, but it's not going anywhere. Super tight. Put a zip tie on there just to be safe. So we've decided that this is going to get mounted underneath the ECU somewhere, so it's kind of out of the way and not visible, because this is probably the ugliest sensor I've ever seen in my life. But real quick, I'm going to show you guys the work we did underneath the dash, because it came out pretty good. Cleaned up some of the shady wiring that's been plaguing this car a little bit. We still haven't wired up the boost gauge yet, but I'm going to need a light. So there was that big mass of wires. It's not there anymore. We cut it, and then you can kind of see those little splices we did there. We spliced some so we could get rid of the excess. Here is the boost gauge wiring. We used that little clamp right there. So it comes straight up, it's clean, it's out of the way. And yeah, it definitely looks a lot better down in there. We still gotta figure out that whole situation, but that won't be too bad. But yeah, no more massive wires hanging down there, because that was definitely super ghetto. Super. All right, but now we're gonna figure out the placement of things in here. Okay, so here's the wire. It comes kind of routed up through here, does a little loop, plugs into the sensor. Sensor is right here, and then we zip tied it to the bottom of the ECU bracket. The ECU should still sit in there fine, and then we're not going to see the ugly brass fitting. And then this is where the boost line or the vacuum line will come out of. So it'll come out of here, which will be cool because it'll also be kind of in the way, or out of the way. And then you just tee it off to something over here. We're not going to be running a blow-off valve on this car, so we'll have to tee it into a different vacuum source, but should work pretty well and be out of the way, and no one will know. No one will be the wiser. Can't speak today. And after that, it should just be wiring, and then we should be good to go. I know this isn't really how I want to do stuff, but we're probably just going to end up sticking the wires into one of the fuses for ignition power. And yeah, not the best, because that's how the AFR gauge is though, and it works. I've never had an issue with it, so we'll just use it like that, and if it becomes a problem, we'll figure out a more legit way to do it.
Good morning, or good afternoon.
Morning. It's definitely a morning.
It's a feeling of a morning, but it's actually 12:30.
So,
And it's raining.
Yeah, it is 12:30. Anyways, today is the next day from the last clip. We did not totally finish the boost gauge install. We still have a couple things left to do on that. But we're headed to Walmart and get food probably to pick up some stuff, and then we'll be able to finish everything up, and then I can put up this video this week. Probably tonight, honestly. But yeah, we're in the Tundra. The Tundra needs to get brakes and rotors done.
Brakes,
pads, rotors, and fluid.
And oil. Yeah.
Oil change, yeah, that needs to get done today, so we'll try to crank out that boost gauge. There's only like 2 things left to do, so just gonna crank it out and get it over with.
I'll crank one out.
Alright guys, welcome back. So, just came back. This is silicone. It says the tough elastic sealant for every job. So, I don't know. I found this in the toolbox. So, this is what we're going to use. We're going to use this. Alright, that stuff did not work at all. That doesn't stick. I don't know if it's like old or partially dried up or what, but we already put our TV on the edge, so we're just going to leave it like that. Should be fine. Like I said, this car is going to be in a garage for the remainder of its life, so RTV should be good enough. But anyways, so that means there's really only one thing left to do. We've already kind of done everything. Everything else we still have to do is going to be underneath the driver's side. We also need to put the trim back in the car, so I'm going to go ahead and knock that out. All right, so we're back under the car. First step is going to be to tape up the wires that we are not planning on using. So that's going to be the blue and the white. So I'm going to throw some electrical tape on here. And for the record, this is my first time installing a boost gauge. So fairly certain we don't need these 2 wires, but I could be wrong. So that's why I'm just going to really quickly electrical tape them. And then if it turns out later we need them, I can just pull the electrical tape off and we can find a power source and stuff for that. There's one. And there's 2. Not the prettiest thing in the world, but no one's ever gonna see it, so. Okay, so I found this little crimp doodad thing, which fits around this bolt perfectly. So I'm gonna crimp this around our black wire here for ground. And where that bolt came from was right here, which already had something grounded to it, so it's perfect. So I'm gonna go ahead and install that, and that will take care of our ground. And then our positive, we can find a nice little fuse here that gets power when ignition is on, and then we'll send it from there. All right, so I had to get a second one. So this was the old one that was on for the radar detector, and it was broken. So I went ahead and replaced that ground with a new one, new little thingamajig here. Now we're about to do the black one. So all I'm doing is, these are just crimp. So I just slip it over, crimp it down, and then that's it. It's good. Okay, bolt's not tightened down yet, but you can see both of these are in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and screw that down, and then all we got left to worry about is this little red guy right here. All right, ignore this, but here the wire is, it's in the fuse. We put it in the number 4 spot. That's for that is for ABS and VSA. ABS is no longer in the car, so, but it should still be getting power to it. So figured that was the safest bet. It was either that, a fuel pump, or like the injectors and stuff, or fuel injection. It's all set on the diagram, but rather not mess with that stuff. But anyways, yeah, so it's all done. So now I'm just gonna clean this up. I'm gonna zip tie this up out of the way, get this just for the radar detector, get all that out of the way, and then I can start to button up the interior. All right, it's all back together, mostly. But we got 2 gauges now, and everything should be working here pretty good once we get power back to the car and subframe back in, so we can actually put the battery in and test it. But yeah. Anyways, that's gonna be it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Maybe you learned a little something. Most of the stuff we do, we're kind of figuring it out as we go. We're not exactly holders of a lot of experience, I guess you could say. I don't know. Boost gauge is installed, mostly. Still gotta get like a boost reference, but we gotta wait to do all that, so.
Subscribe. Follow us for more videos.
Hell yeah.
Yep.